Founders, welcome back to the 0 to 5,000 podcast, where we obsess over the convergence of human potential and business results. Today, our hosts Drew McClure and Jordan Mitchell have another insightful conversation for you. So let's jump right in.
Okay, founders, welcome back to the show. Today, we are joined by Austin Netzley. Austin is a business investor, advisor, author, and entrepreneur. He is the founder and CEO of 2X, helping 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs break free from the day-to-day operations and scale exponentially with operational excellence. In just less than 3 years, Austin and 2X have helped private clients generate over $255 million in revenue by implementing the proven 2X operating system. 2X works hands-on, one-on-one with CEOs to help them simplify their strategy, systemize their operations, and scale with consistency and control. 2X has been featured as one of the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the US in back-to-back years for 2022 and 2023. And here to tell us about the story himself is Austin. So Austin, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Drew. Love what you're doing. Excited to hope it gives some good value today.
I can't wait, brother. So how did 2X get started? Take me back.
Yeah. So I started out as an engineer in the corporate world and quickly realized that wasn't necessarily my long-term path. But then went and started my first business, took some time off after that to travel around the world, and then came back and I wanted to have some type of contribution element, some type of way that I felt like I was making an impact, right? So started my second business, and that led to a third business, that led to a fourth business, that led to what I do now. So every one of those businesses was just really a stepping stone. I knew it wasn't my long-term, but it was like the best opportunity in front of me. And it was a way that I was going to either learn or do something that was going to, again, progress me forward. And by the time I went through that fourth business, I started to get the idea of what do I want to do for the rest of my life, right? It's the never-ending question of what do I want to do when I grow up, quote unquote, you know? And I saw that there's a major opportunity and gap in the marketplace for hands-on, one-on-one coaches that can do that at scale, that can give custom feedback, that can focus a lot on systems, operations, time freedom, some of the things that a lot of the marketing gurus don't focus on, and really help people grow, but with operational excellence to achieve the time freedom and ultimate goals that we really want as entrepreneurs. And I didn't have any good resources out there that I could find. And I was investing in coach after coach, agency after agency, and wasn't really finding a holistic approach to this. So realized there was a gap in the marketplace, started the business over 5.5 years ago. And since then, we've helped clients generate many hundreds of millions of dollars while in our program and after our program. Like you said, been on the Inc. 5000 a couple of times. So it's been pretty cool to see it all come together, and we're just getting started, frankly.
Dude, heck yeah. All right, so 4 businesses. That feels like 4 lifetimes. What were they very similar?
No, they were random stepping stones. The first one was, so I went from an engineer in the oil industry to on the side starting a day trading company. So I got heavy into day trading while still working a full-time job, created my own algorithm, automated and built that up. And that was my first taste of financial freedom and getting ahead financially, yada, yada, right? But it didn't feel like a real business, even though it was, because I didn't have any employees. I didn't have like all the infrastructure that a lot of us know now, right? So then took some time off after that. My second, then started a blog and podcast that led to a book, that led to a book marketing agency, that led to coaching millennial entrepreneurs how to start and build their online business, that led me to see all the things that I talked about earlier, and that I want to work with people that already have traction. So now we work with, businesses that already have traction, or at least at a minimum over 250K in revenue, but most of them are 7 figures already, that we can help optimize and really scale from there. And there's so many, it's a whole different game to get to that first couple 100,000 that it is to scale to 5-10 million, right? That we work with the people that already have a little bit of traction.
I like that. Was that an obvious kind of customer avatar coming in, like when you started the business? Or
not necessarily. So I started 2X with the promise of double your business, double your freedom. So it was a 90-day program that I knew that with low 6-figure businesses, I could get in there and easily help them double. So we work with online service-based businesses. It could be an agency, could be a high-ticket coaching program, could be a consultant, a course creator, somebody that you can move the needle pretty fast from a sales standpoint that doesn't have like a 2-year sales cycle to corporate or something, right? So We started with the avatar being low six-figure businesses with the goal to double their monthly revenue rate. And we did that left and right. And then from there, after the 90 days, then the goal is to sell them basically every 90 days. And we had a really high success rate, crazy amount of things, but the business really wasn't super sustainable if we always had to resell them every 90 days. So we eventually went
Yeah.
to a longer term model. But as we went and started to do that and see all these opportunities and really start to develop the operating system, again, it just gradually went up to where is it about now? Even from the start, actually, pretty quickly, it didn't take us very long to get to about half that were above $1 million and half of our clients being below $1 million. I've got a book called From Six to Seven Figures, so we naturally attract still a lot of people in the six-figure crowd, but a lot of the clients that we work with now are 7, 8 figures because they're focused on systems, operations, team, time, getting free from the weeds, really building the machine, increasing profit and cash flow. A lot of the quote unquote boring things that are really what a healthy business is built around
Yeah.
that you've got to make sure to cover. Right?
Yeah. Let's start with the 6 to 7 figure person. If someone's
Yeah,
listening, that's probably a lot of our audience. If they're listening and
cool.
they're kind of in that category, what were some of the things that you were focusing on that was getting them that doubling of their monthly revenue or whatever over the 90 days? Where were you actually pushing and advising that they were seeing the breakthrough on?
Yeah, a lot of things, but I would say the commonalities are simplicity and strategy. So
Okay.
a lot of people are doing a lot of things, most of which are not really impactful or working, right? So if we
Yep.
come in from an outside eye, not have the emotional ties that they have, show them clearly of like, hey, you're doing these 4 things and they're not really profitable or working. What would happen if we just cut those out? They would be like, oh, I can't. But they can. They eventually come to that thinking. They're like, hey, these 2 things over here are working really well, we're going to do more of that. All right. And then we just show them how the numbers work and how it's going to be easier to scale. So we do less and be able to focus on the right things, what we call our 5-word marketing strategy, which is do more of what works. So we do more of something that oftentimes they've already validated and proven and get super focused. But simplicity is one of the biggest things. Complexity will kill a small business, especially with a
Mm,
small team, especially when the entrepreneur's wearing so many different hats. We've got to come in and we oftentimes find, especially with the six-figure business, about 40%, sometimes more of what they're doing that is a waste or not impactful to achieve their vision. Right. So if
mm,
we just simply come in and free, like that's instantly tens of hours per week. And if we give you a couple tweaks of the right things to do and give you our proven systems, it's like you can do a lot in an extra 10 hours per week pretty quickly and be able to double the business. And then once we get there, we want to double it again and double it again and double it again. A lot of six-figure entrepreneurs and a lot of entrepreneurs in general love the thinking of 10x. I'm going to 10x. I'm hyped by Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone from a motivation standpoint, but
yeah.
nobody's actually 10xing because what we need to do is we need to bring it back to what do we actually need to do right now to get traction and get traction consistently. So we've got to take into account time so
Okay.
that things are not reliant on you. And we've got to take into account systems. So as we're doing the simplicity and strategy and having them focus on the right things, we're making sure that they're building systems behind it so that when they get there, it doesn't go right back down. This is the new level. This is the new base. This is the new minimum, right?
Yeah.
Now we do the same thing of like, all right, what's the simplest and most direct path to double again? And we do that again, put systems behind it in the proper team. So now we're at this base and it's just as easy as it was down here. In fact, probably easier, but we're at 4x the revenue than what we were. So we want to consistently do that. So that's how we drive consistent, predictable growth.
I love it. No, so at the beginning, the first 2x, it sounds like is somewhat of the 80/20 rule where you're trying to figure out what's really the 20% of what you're doing that's moving the needle the
Exactly.
most.
Yep.
Is that both in terms of like auditing like marketing efforts and what's
Yep.
working and not, as well as like offerings? Like you
Yep.
may have too many offerings, but these 6 no one really buys or cares about, or is not getting as fantastic of results as these 2 offerings. Is it kind of, are you looking at both of those things?
We're looking at the whole thing. So we start with our framework for product market fit. We call it our Model 1 framework. It's the most important chapter, chapter 2 of from 6 to 7 figures, because it breaks it down. Most people are a little bit broad on who they serve. They're broad on the products that they have or how they serve them. They're broad in their positioning, their pricing. They just kind of came up because competitors are doing that, right? There's none of these elements that are super strategic, and as a result, they don't have a proven and validated business model. They're just good at what they do, so they can sell enough to think that they are an entrepreneur. They think that they're a business owner, I should say, right? But
Yeah.
until you're able to work on the business and be free from the weeds, you got a job, not a business, right? So we want to really go back and get clear and get more strategic and intentional so that we're super targeted with who you serve, how you serve them, because you can get really narrow and have a lot of simplicity and focus to easily be able to get to that first 7 figures. So we often say one avatar, one core product, one primary marketing channel can easily get you to 7 figures. And then from there, you want to start to stack and scale different products, different offerings in different channels. And that's how you get to 2, 4, 6 million.
All right. So the first hurdle, or I guess learning lesson for the 6-figure entrepreneurs maybe stuck there, is that too much diversity, not enough focus, simplicity, clarity.
Yep.
What else are you finding is another like unlock for them at that level?
Well, the biggest one is the mindset, right? Is the mindset. You'll never far exceed where you are at as the leader from a mindset standpoint. So the first chapter of the book is talking about the vision and the mindset and like what you want to achieve. But we've got to have that belief, got to have that clarity. A lot of people are their own biggest enemy. They want growth, they desire that so bad, but so many of the decisions, not letting go, having scarcity of narrowing down who you serve. What's the other one? Keep tacking on new ideas, hoping that something's just going to magically take off and you're going to get rich, getting sold by all the Instagram ads of all these big promises that are out there. All these things are what we call 6-figure hustler. But what we want to step into is the 7-figure CEO. So in each chapter of the book, I literally break down, here's how a 6-figure hustler thinks and acts. Here's how a 7-figure CEO. And the funny thing is like a lot of 7-figure business owners will also tell me, hey, the way that you break that down, I'm actually half the time in the 6-figure hustler mode.
Yeah.
But it's like, if we can just understand that first and foremost and stop ourselves from sabotaging our success, then again, it's just the biggest thing. So mindset, strategy, and then back it all up with systems. Those are 3 of the biggest things for sure.
Okay. Talk to me about systems. It's a broad term, but I know it's not broad for you. So what do we mean when we're saying systems?
Well, everything in your business is and should be a system, right? So
Yeah.
whether we're talking about hiring people, firing people, setting up a blog post, writing an email, doing a sales presentation, all of these are different systems. Now, a system could be an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure. It could be a video that you record on a tool like Loom and just hand it off to your team. It could be a video process. It could be a training. It could be a template that you just use over and over again. It could be a software that you use. Like there's so many different types of quote unquote systems. A system is a way to get something that you're going to do more than once done in a more efficient, repeatable manner, right? And the cool thing about systems is not only does it make it more repeatable? Does it make it easier to do? It also really allows you to delegate and set your team up for success. A lot of people in that 6-figure realm, as they start to try and scale, they're like, all right, I need to hire more people. Well, as you hire more people, your business grows from a complexity standpoint exponentially, right? So as you go from having 2 people on your team to going to 4, you go from like 2 relationships that matter to now 4 relationships that matter. And it just continues to go up exponentially from there.
The
as you
lines
get
of communication between all of
lines
those
of communication, the clarity between them is just like, it's a huge, huge thing. So people and most entrepreneurs are not great at having systems and as a result, delegating and setting up their team up for success. So there's 3 key pillars. Do you have the right person in the right seat set up for success? You can have this absolute rock star and you're like, they've done it so many times before, but if they aren't set up for success, they're probably going to fail. You just, then we reinforce the belief of, oh, I knew I should have just kept doing it myself. And then you do, and then you're working 60 hours a week and you're missing out on some family time. And you're like, wait a minute, I left a 6-figure corporate job to go and do this, and I'm working way more and making less. Like, no, that's not what we want. So we got to go back. We got to learn these things, properly set up our team, and again, systems are a key a part of making that happen.
Did you say there were 3 core pillars?
Right person, right seat, set up for success. So right person is, do they have the skill and culture fit? Right seat, meaning compensation as well as again, the skills within that particular role, and then are they given the proper communication systems, training, support, feedback, yada yada. And that third one again is the main crux of
Gotcha.
the issue.
Gotcha. So how did you develop your system, the 2X system?
Through 4 other businesses, and in the last two, specifically before 2X, I was working with a lot of entrepreneurs. So the book marketing agency, we were working with 6 and 7 figure online businesses, the same clientele we work with now, to see inside their business. We were only working on like one specific thing, but I started to connect the dots of, okay, here's what the best do, here's what like the others do.
Yeah.
But I shared earlier that I started out as an engineer in the corporate world. I've always taken kind of an engineering approach to business, with the structure, with the systems, with the focus on numbers and simplicity, yada yada, and just really making sure that things were logical within the business, so that we can make the best and most efficient decisions. So now, just bringing it back full circle, is like through all those experiences and through coaching now over 1,000 entrepreneurs. Basically what we do is help people turn their business into a machine. So I went from mechanical engineering as a degree to a business focused mechanical engineering approach, if you will, to building a healthy, thriving business that's not reliant on you being in the weeds.
Yeah. Have you encountered that, and I think you mentioned this earlier, that sometimes the hardest part about maybe getting that founder or that CEO to implement some of these systems or delegate or whatever is largely an emotional issue?
Oh, it's such a big emotional issue. That's the juice, right? And
Yeah.
if we get the, like, teaching somebody about what systems are, how to set up, our internal operating system, even like figuring out like the right levers to focus on once they understand like core methodology. Most of that's pretty easy. It's the leadership stuff, it's the mindset stuff, it's letting go, it's investing in yourself, it's choosing again to narrow, it's choosing to cut out certain projects that you're emotionally tied to that you spent 6 months and tens of thousands of dollars on. It's doing less and letting go. It's the mindset stuff that's the juice for sure.
Is that where the coaching is essential? That
Oh,
walking them through that?
yes, that's one of the major underlying things. Like, we would never call ourselves on the outside a mindset coach, but like, we have to be a mindset coach, just like you have to be a mindset
Yes.
coach, And sometimes it's almost to like the therapy side, because it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of moving pieces in a business. It's stressful,
yeah,
that we all need that guidance and support. But part of the reason why our program is so successful is because we're like working through the mind to make sure that we can get there. So we're not just like telling people what to do, we're getting them to believe it and see it. We're planting the seeds, and we're having them ultimately make the decisions themselves. And then that way they're fully bought in. And when they need some breakthroughs, when they need some support, when they need to be called out, like, we help do that. But like, the biggest part of our job is to help transform the entrepreneur that we work with. And I'm talking specifically about the mindset standpoint. Because
yeah.
yes, we can teach them all the stuff and give them an MBA. We call it an MBA in 90 days, but we give them basically so much business knowledge. But what we're really trying to do over the 12 months is to transform their mindset. And if we do that, all the stuff underneath it, as far as the operating system and the growth strategies, all that is so much easier than the emotional and mental stuff.
So if someone signs up, is it they'd be signing up for a year program? Is that what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
offering is now?
It
What
is
was
now. We may have a 90-day program in the future again, to kind of install our operating system. But because like we do a lot of that up front, is like to install some of the basic foundational things that people need to free up time, to increase profitability, to increase clarity, get the team rocking. And then we start to focus on more growth strategies. So we may separate that a little bit. But right now it's a 12-month program. And that one-on-one is so key to help through the breakthroughs and through the clarity and the specificity. There's not many programs out there that are at scale, helping people one-on-one with, here's exactly what to do based on your situation, because every business is a little bit different. There's no cookie cutter answers.
Yeah. So what do they get for that year program? Like, what does that year look like for them?
So they get 2 one-on-one calls per month, which are all, again, very specific, action oriented, problem solving on the key things that we need to do, and then making sure that you leave with exact clarity of what to focus on next. So one-on-one of exactly what to do in the problem solving, accountability, and support. You get in-person events, which are, again, most of our clients are 7, 8-figure business owners. So there's like a really high or powerful network there. There's the online community as well. There's the online training portal. They get our full operating system within that, but we've got like playbooks and systems and strategies and countless hours that nobody does go through because you don't need all the training.
It's
It's
so
more of a
much. Yeah.
just in time. And and then we have ongoing group training. So we have ongoing mastermind calls. We have a training every single week with somebody. This week we had, so sometimes we bring in topics like outside of business. So like this week we brought in somebody talking about how to pay off your mortgage like way faster and like saving literally hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in interest. Next week we've got somebody talking about AI marketing. The next week we've got probably somebody on sales or something. It's a whole mix of, we've got a training and we have group calls every single week. So I shared a lot there, but it basically breaks down to 4 pillars of one-on-one, in-person events, the operating system, which is the training portal and online systems, and our group calls. And that full combination is what people need to step into that next level of being a true business owner, have all of the strategies and support of what they need to be able to put it together. So it works out pretty well.
So when we use the term be a true business owner, I'm assuming we're talking about like going from basically self-employed
Yeah.
to being a business owner quadrant where it's working for me more than just reliant on me pulling all the levers. Is that kind of what we mean?
Yeah, so basically there's 4 different levels. First is where you are the business. Second is where you're in the business. Third is where you're working on the business. And fourth is where you're working above the business. All right. So when you're starting a business, you are the business. If you're a consultant, you are the business. If you can't take a day off, you are the business. All right. Next level is you're working in the business. So this is doing some BAU, which is business as usual type tasks. This is where you're still handling some clients or whatever. Basically, some functions will drop off if you take some time off. The third is working on the business. These are the high impact tasks or the things aren't needed necessarily day to day. And then the fourth is above the business, where your business doesn't necessarily need you much at all. So I've got a book actually called the 2-Week Vacation Test that
Cool.
teaches people those 4 stages. And ultimately what you want to get to is to where you're free from the day-to-day, that your business can run, grow, and thrive without you. And if you get to that point, then you've got a very healthy business and you can spend your time where you want, which yes, you're going to have good time freedom and lifestyle outside of business, but also you'll be able to spend it on the high impact and things that you enjoy in the business, which is like the power position. Cause like I tried to live the 4-hour work week. I built a great machine. I had systems I'll leverage. I leveraged some teams. I was like, this is the dream. And I was like, I think, but by month 1, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. By month 2, I was miserable. Like I hated it. I was like, I need something to do. I want to learn. I want to grow. I just need to be in control of my time. So most people think that not working or working way less is like the dream. In my opinion, if you're an ambitious person, you should at least just have control of your time that's not reactive and stressed so that you can spend it on big projects and things that you want to do, but you're still learning and growing. So you can still be very, very happy and working 40 plus hours per week, but it's got to be in control. So ultimately what you want, again, is your business to be a level 4 business that can run, grow, and thrive without you. And that talks a lot about, how to have the systems and team and infrastructure in place so that can happen.
How have you seen that look? I obviously have a vested interest in this as a, coach and a consultant myself. How have you seen that look in that type of industry for someone to go through that journey when sometimes it feels hard to imagine because it's like, but I am the product, right?
Yeah.
Is it,
So when I started 2X, I was the product, and I did
yeah,
that very intentionally. And I knew exactly what I was doing. So so at the beginning of 2X, I was doing the marketing, I was doing the sales, I was doing the fulfillment. So I had all the clients, and I was doing all the CEO stuff, right? I was hiring the team. I was essentially everything. I had me, a VA, a part-time marketing person, and like one other person basically is kind of ops supportive in some type of way of doing a bunch of different things. But like, let's say that in that case, I'm the product, like I'm the coach, like I'm the only one. There's no, so what I did is I just documented everything that I was doing. I created what I already knew in my mind was the first version 1 going into this of like, this is our general methodology. This is how we're different. So I created our IP, our operating system and everything, and documented that so that we could train clients, so that we could make it easier to manage clients, and so that I could train other people to coach clients. So within 6 months, I went from handling all those functions to just handling marketing and CEO stuff and being completely removed from client delivery, being completely removed from sales, and again, having the gist of the systems in place that we were able to do that. So wherever your role is
That's
that you're not
fast.
free from, yeah. But again, I knew what I was doing and I had an idea of it going in. And the cool thing is like you're already doing the work. So in this case, I was already doing the coaching. So let me
Yeah.
just create these processes and frameworks and systems as I'm doing this, and just like day by day, literally I'm creating IP and creating systems that are going to help me get more leverage and ultimately train other people. So that was a pretty short period of time, but like no matter what your role you're in, you can do that exact process to fire yourself from.
How did you get out of the sales process so fast? I find, especially with CEOs like yours, even a marketing agency I work with, like that's the trap she's in. She's like, I got us to a $10 million business, but I bring all the business in, right?
Yeah.
How do you remove yourself, especially if you're a charismatic personality like you? It's going to be natural for you to go out, get that business. How do you how do you get out of that seat and still
Uh,
have good sales coming in?
Yeah, great question. The answer is the same exact way that I just talked about. So what I had to realize is that people don't want me. They don't hire 2X because of me. They frankly don't even care about Austin Netzley, like at all. And it's like, it's not to make them sound like a-holes, but like
No, they
they
just want the
don't care.
result.
They just want the result. So
Yeah.
as soon as you understand that, then it's like, how can you best position it so that they can get a result? So what do they need to see? They need to see that there's a process in place, right? So they need to see what's your strategic secret sauce, right? They need to understand what that clear pain and promise is and how you help them. So if you are clear on who you serve, how you serve them, what that clear pain and promise is, and how you're going to like just the basis of like how they're going to get that, it doesn't matter who they're talking to. They don't care.
Yeah.
They want the result for them, right?
Yep.
So we put that in place again with the framework, and here's how it works, and this is who we do it for, and this is yada yada. And there's a bazillion salespeople out there that can do sales way better than I can. And if they're giving, clear qualified leads with those couple things that I mentioned, then they're going to be set up for success. But here's the thing: in a lot of six-figure businesses, you mentioned a $10 million business. That's different. I would say they got to be out of sales, definitely by that point. But a lot of six-figure businesses, you should probably hold on to sales, as one of the last roles that you hold on to. But like each one of the businesses you want to, or roles you want to be free from. I didn't like sales because of, well, A, it's just like not my natural favorite thing, part of the business to do, but it was the reactivity of the sales role that really just kind of buckled me. I like to have a
Mm.
lot of deep work, free time. So like I like to sink my teeth into a big project and not necessarily have like a call here and then a little bit later a call here. Like I very much batch things and in control of my time in that way. So I had a little bit more desire than like but a lot of our clients were like, hey, you should keep on sales. You're doing a good job at it. It's not going to take more than X hours per week. But you should keep that until we get to a certain revenue, whether that's 700K or whatever. And we just kind of keep that. And a lot of them enjoy that part of the business. So you
Yeah.
just got to figure out which pieces you're going to fire yourself from and which are like the easiest and best leverage ones to do. But for me, it was coaching first, sales second, and then, definitely operations and all the other stuff as well. That's all kind of secondary. But as far as major roles, it was coaching first, sales second, and then marketing third that I fired myself from.
And if you kind of fired yourself in order to spend more time in a different focus, what is that for you now? Like, what is the thing that you're allowed to do more now because you're not having to be in those seats anymore?
Yeah, a lot of my time now is spent on big JV partnerships. So big JV partnerships that'll add, multiple 6 or 7 figures in revenue for us. Key assets such as writing books, like I mentioned, a couple of our books. We've got many more books coming up, but those are a great process to do and worth a lot to the business. Acquiring companies for our ecosystem. So we're moving into the stage of building our portfolio of different companies that all service the same clientele because everybody needs the same basic services.
Yeah.
So we're adding on those companies. So that's where most of my time is spent right now is that. But then I also, again, do some of those higher leverage marketing activities that I mentioned with JVs and books, but most of it's spent on the ecosystem, the acquisitions there. And there's always some team stuff as well, but I think, a CEO needs to own strategy, needs to own vision, needs to own team and culture, like the key team and definitely the culture. cash, and then growth. It's like strategic growth, but not necessarily just owning marketing, for instance. But if I could still own that, then things are great. And also, obviously, we have a lot of support in some of those elements, but that's where most of my time is spent.
Are there any practices or rhythms that you find helpful for the vision component for you to keep that in the forefront of what you're doing and actually knowing where we're going next?
Yeah, the more anchored in that your vision becomes, the less that it changes, which is cool. Like, for instance, my first 4 businesses, I had like kind of a vision a little bit, but then the more that I got experience, the more that like my vision hasn't changed much the last 5 years, which is pretty cool. So it's like pretty anchored in me personally. But then as a CEO, you got to repeat yourself over and over and over again. So literally every single team meeting that we have, we're talking about the vision. We're talking about the impact that we make. We're talking about the vision, where we're headed, right? And what else was I going to share? So basically, as part of our cadence that we get into, we're really analyzing the vision every quarter, but like the main points are at the, for the annual planning, and then for the second half of year planning. That's the main time that we're really stepping back and being like, all right, are we all really aligned as a big picture? But like, but then you need to take it down to, like I said, every single team meeting, we're touching on the vision. We're using it in our hiring process. It's basically everywhere. It's kind of like a fish in water. It's like, where's the vision? Well, the vision's everywhere, and it's got to be. But those are a couple things that I would say is make it a part of your day-to-day culture in whatever that way, the simple way that looks like. Make sure that everybody's clear on where you're going, because we don't communicate it enough, even when we think we over communicate it, because people can't see what we see. But then the other is really evaluate it and update it on some type of rhythm, whether that's once, twice, 4 times a year. But that type of cadence is good to do.
Yeah. How often are y'all as a team picking your head up and planning? Is it yearly we do it for
Quarterly.
the year, and then quarterly as well?
Yeah. Quarterlies, like we have a really good quarterly planning process, and that's important to do. So our goal is to come up for air, get super clear and focused, and then we do it on a monthly basis and a weekly basis as well. But it's like much lighter, right? So that we come way up for air on a quarterly basis. We come kind of up for air on a monthly basis. We kind of come less up for air on a weekly basis, and in our own ways, a smaller up. It's like the different levels of it. So, but that cadence just works well. But at any time, you have to be clear as a leader what you're focused on. Your team has to be clear. And I would say 98% of small businesses cannot say that confidently that they are clear, that their team's clear, right? And
100%.
it's like, how do you expect people to succeed if they don't know where they're going? They aren't clear on exactly the highest impact things that they can do. They aren't given the proper systems and support and structure. They aren't held accountable to it. They aren't using the numbers. It's like, how do you expect? And as a result, they don't most of the time. So we work really hard for just a little. There's a better way. And it's a hard way, because we got to shift. We got to do less things, and we got to do things different, and we got to do let go of certain things. But oh my gosh, I've been on both sides where I've been burnt out so bad I had to call 911 from anxiety attacks, and I've been on the other side where I'm traveling almost every single week now. We're making insane amount of money. It's like it's pretty, and I don't say that to brag. I say that to share what's possible, because man, I've been in the trenches just like every other business owner, not every, most other business owners have been.
Yeah. God, that anxiety and stress is real, my friend. I understand that. Was it at that time, was it just largely connected to the stressors of the business, or like, what have you even learned about that? Because it's such a roller coaster ride. It comes up in every podcast conversation, how
Yeah.
people are thinking about the ride they're on in business,
Yeah.
and relating emotionally. What's that been like for you?
We tell people that they need to treat themselves and their bodies like they're a professional athlete. If you want to do big things in business, you're going to be handling some stress. You're going to be handling some things. You're going to be handling a lot of work. You're going to be handling a lot of things that are going on. Your body needs to be protected. So between the stress of the business, not sleeping much, partying, not taking care of my health, all those things combined, to where I was in my mid 20s, and I would go to the doctor and I'd be like, I feel like crap. Like I'm not sleeping or whatever. And he's like, you're the healthiest person in my office. Cause I was running marathons and doing triathlons and Spartan races and things. And I just got done playing college football. And I was like, I feel like crap. And then eventually, shortly after, started having anxiety attacks, had to call 911. I'm like dying over here, but I realized I was killing myself between the stress
Mm.
that I was doing, the work that I was putting in, the way that I was not taking care of my body. And then I flipped all of those on its head to now I definitely take care of my body. Like I invest a lot into my health. Uh, I don't work crazy hours and stress it because I put in the infrastructure and strategies that we're talking about. And make sure that sleep's a big priority. Make sure that I keep my stress low, yada yada. All these things to be able to actually be way more productive. Like I have way more energy than I did 13 years ago, which is
Yeah,
crazy to see. But you got to do it. You got to take care of yourself first.
absolutely, man. I mean, that's a conversation we've been having for a while, is that you're watching business owners start to think more like athletes, and you're watching athletes start to think more like business owners.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's cool because you need both industries needed it, right? You started
Yeah.
watching athletes get to the end of their biggest earning potential years and had never thought like a business owner and had no cash left over afterwards.
Yeah.
And now they're going, "Hey, I've got a brand. Hey,
Yeah.
I need a smart team around me, financial people, people I can trust." They're thinking like business owners, right?
Yeah.
And then you're watching CEOs go, "Hey man, I'm working really hard and I don't know if I know how to recover. I don't
Mm,
know how to think about longevity. I don't know how to, we always talk about athletes do stress and recovery really well. They do
mm-hmm,
both.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so how do we think about that as a CEO? How do we think about that as an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you today? Is it super involved? Is it, there's extremes of everything. Like, is it, I'm cold plunging every day. I got my
Yeah.
sauna. I wake up at 4 in the morning. I drink green smoothie juices. Is it simple? I just get 30 minutes of exercise a day. Like, what works for you? What seems to give
Yeah.
you the most energy?
Yeah. Couple things. I do daily workout. So every single day, no matter, you know, what day of the week, no matter what the situation, I do a 7 minute workout. High intensity, short 7 minute workout. Call it the CEO workout. You always got 7 minutes, like brushing your teeth. And with that, like I'm not the most jacked person in the world, but like you can see my six pack, and it's like that's from 7 minutes a day of just
Okay,
taking care of my a great diet, working out every single day, getting that heart rate up. That works out really, really well.
cool.
In addition to that, I'll like play pickleball or hike a couple times per week. So I'll do something else, but like my main workout is 7 minutes a day. Um, I also do cold plunge, love the cold plunge. I do red light therapy every morning. I do breath work, which is my favorite one outside of my 7 minute workout. So I do a short little breath work and then follow that with a meditation. And that's super, super impactful. I really try to take care of my sleep, even though my sleep's not great because I just wake up so early. And it used to be that like I had in my mind of like, oh man, I need to get my 8 hours or else I feel like crap. And now I realize like, hey, I feel really good with 6 hours. Like I'm just one of those people, and I've
Yeah.
become one of those people. So now I'm like, hey, I wake up at 3:30 or 4 a.m. naturally sometimes, and oftentimes recently, but that's not what I recommend. And I don't set my alarm. I just wake up super early, and as long as I feel good, I just get up and like go start my day.
Yeah.
So, but a couple things are, yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. Get the vitamin D early to help the sleep, like all types of things. But my main favorite two are get a daily minute workout outside, high intensity, get that heart rate moving, and do breath work. Those are two of the most impactful for me personally.
What do you find is the breath work mentally good for you? Are you finding it's physically, you feel like in a different state after you're done? Like, what do you really enjoy about the breath work?
It's energizing in the way that a nap would be. I can't fall asleep on a nap. I've tried many, many different strategies for many years. So I just moved that to meditation, but it also makes the meditation better and your mind clear. So if you can have more clarity, and it's basically like a great reset for the day for me. So again, I do breath work and then I follow that with meditation. So that meditation is really, really impactful because again, you're just like in a really good state from it. Meditation, in my opinion, is oftentimes best first thing in the morning or after breath work in this capacity. So I oftentimes do both, but especially the breath work one. But like I said, you also feel some good energy from it as well. So it's a perfect reset for a second half of the day.
Yeah. What type of meditation do you enjoy, or do you do multiple kinds, or what?
Uh, I just put on some meditation music and just meditate. I don't have any guided meditation necessarily that I'm using at this time. I used to do all the guided meditations and things, but
Yeah.
basically, you just want to build a basic skill set to be able to stop your mind, and then from there, whatever makes sense for you. I just put on some tunes. So the way that I did it is I took a Wim Hof, if you guys are familiar with Wim Hof breathing and the cold plunging. So I took a breathing exercise that he guides, and I shortened it down. And then I put meditation music for 7 minutes after. So it's 3 minutes of intense breath work and then 7 minutes of meditation. And it's a 10-minute total thing that I'm like totally rejuvenated, totally clear, totally powerful. But I kind of created my own audio with that.
That's cool. Yeah, I walked in. I would do a golf trip with about 7 of my best friends every year, and I remember walking in we were all getting dressed for the morning round, and my buddy Nate is laying on the couch breathing like crazy with his headphones on, and we were like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing Wim Hof."
Yeah, let's
like,
go.
Cool. And he loved it. He loves it.
Oh yeah. It's definitely interesting to be around other people when you're doing it, but once people try it and get the benefit, usually they'll get over that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd heard of it. I just hadn't tried it yet, so it was cool to have him with the testimony of like, dude, I love it. I start every morning this way. I still yet to try it. I need to try that sometime soon.
You should, yeah, and do the meditation afterwards because it's just going to put you in a good state.
Cool. So yeah, do you use that as like a midday recharge?
Yep, midday. So after lunch, usually early afternoon, I'll do that, and then I'll start essentially my third day. So I start with I call it done by 10:30. It's broken down in both the books of, do deep and focused work on your highest impact things first thing. Like before you get into the blur and the reactivity of the day, do at least 2 hours of deep work, right? I do more than that oftentimes, especially because I wake up early and don't have kids and stuff right now. So do the deep work in the morning. Then kind of check in with the team, your key priorities for the day. Maybe there's some emails and things, get a little bit more done, and then do a full reset, and then have the second or the third part of your day be in the afternoon. So that works well for me. It's like there's no reactivity. There's a little bit of reactivity, and then the last half of the day is usually where there's like smaller things and things that you just have to do and the team's waiting on you for. So there's a little bit there, but that seems to work well, so that every single day you're moving the business forward. Every single day you're driving growth. Every single day you're building the machine. Every single day you're working towards your vision and quarterly initiatives.
Awesome, man. This has been super exciting. If someone's listening and they want to reach out, or they want to dive into what you're doing, where do we send them?
Send them to 2x.co. 2x.co. It's the shortest domain you'll have probably all week, but we got a lot of resources there. We got a couple books, like I shared, a deep dive assessment that people can start to see what their biggest gaps and opportunities and where they need to focus are to double their business while getting free from the weeds. So I would love to support. Again, the books are like 99 cents on Amazon, so I'm not making any money on it, but check them out. I think they're a little bit different and unique and guided on exactly what to do step by step. So I think people will enjoy those. That would be the best thing. But 2x.co has all those.
2x.co. And then what are the books again?
From 6 to 7 figures. Make sure to get the updated and expanded version, the black cover there. And then the 2-week vacation test is the other one.
Cool. Heck yeah, man. Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here, sharing your wisdom with us. And I'm excited for people to get that breakthrough with your company. So thank you for being here.
Appreciate you, Drew. Keep it up, man.
All right, brother.
Founders, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and hop into our monthly founder email so we can ensure you stay on the edge of peak performance and massive business results.